It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical problems, and they can protect your home too. Your next play, visit leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. A Fusion Site is a Titans provider of top-of-the-line VIP restroom trailer and roll-off dumpster needs. Fusion Site, Nashville's MVP. Visit fusionsite.com to learn more. Got the Dr. Kevin Dyson, the scholar Stoney Keeley, and I'm the Professor Zach Lyons. 615-737-1045. You guys want to call in? We'll take you all the way up to 9 o'clock. Is this the worst Titans team that we have ever seen? Titans era.
Ooh, I think back to some of those Ken Wisenhunt teams that it just felt like any team they played was going to hit explosive pass plays, just chunk yardage against those teams. And it felt pretty hopeless. But this kind of feels like a different kind of hopeless where it's just like nothing is going right for this team right now. So cheerful way to start the show.
Yeah. Well, when thinking about that question, I think about Michael Jordan's response to him. People say he's the greatest. How you call me the greatest, and you compare different eras, different times, different circumstances, different teams, different quarterbacks. The opponents are a little bit different. So it's hard to say this is the worst team that has been in the 20, what are we at, year 25, 27? Yeah, 27. I guess I have been here 27 years. Year 27 of being in the city of Nashville. This to date, I think what is the frustrating part of why that question comes about is the consistently way they lose terribly.
Yeah.
I think that's why the question goes up there. But I think there's talent on here. There's some things that are be hopeful about. I love the young core of skill guys and their potential that going forward. And even on the defensive side, you see some young guys stepping up and becoming ball players and with guys that can be formidable defenders in this league for years to come. And I mean, aside from the run game, not having Big Jeff, it was evident how key he is. If they ever got rid of that dude, that would just be everybody just clean house.
Yeah.
That shows you how important Big Jeff is today. So is it the worst team? It's hard not to, because of recent memory, right? We're all about recent memory. But I kind of lend myself to that Michael Jordan school of thought and say it's hard for me to say just because circumstances being so different, but it's hard to get excited right now.
I would say this. I'll push back on something that you said, Stoney. I don't think this is the most hopeless I have felt about the Tennessee Titans, because I do go back to the youth movement that we're kind of seeing grow before our eyes, specifically on offense, and then Cedric Gray over on defense. That's about it on defense. Defense has a lot of problems, not just injuries, but there's some schematic issues and communication issues that just seem to be getting worse and worse, and the Colts seem to be a team that could take advantage of that now over the last two seasons. But I do think there is hope with Cam Ward, but I do think a better term maybe is hapless. Like this feels like a kind of a team that just can't string together quality football for 4 quarters yet. We haven't seen that yet. And I think when you're going down now, we're 1-7, right?
Yes, 1-7.
Okay, I'm just making sure I'm not missing a game in there. It's easy to forget all these losses. But you said you talked about how bad they're losing. You brought it up too, because this is way worse I think we all thought. I mean, still looks like, there's a big difference between 1-7 and the 5-win, 6-win team I think we all envisioned, because we thought there was going to be competitiveness.
Yeah.
And there hasn't been. And how bad are they losing right now, Stoney?
Yeah, so I did the math before we came on the air. In their 7 losses, they are losing by an average of 17.2 points per loss. So there's a 3-possession loss in pretty much all of their losses this season. And I think that's where the hopelessness comes from for me, is that you are seeing some movement on this offense. And I do think Cam Ward is starting to play better each week, and it doesn't matter because the outcome is still the same.
Well, so do you think that this is the most hopeless team for 2025, but that you're not devoid of hope the rest of the way, like next year and beyond?
Well, I mean, I'm sure we're going to get into that, but I think you have to nail this coaching hire, and I think you have to trust that the people making the personnel decisions can dig you out of this hole. I think if you get there, yeah, there is hope.
Yeah.
I think in a vacuum, if we're just evaluating Cam Ward alone, and like Dr. Dyson mentioned, this young nucleus, Gunnar Helm, Alec Ayumanor, Chimre Dike, I think those players alone are reason to be hopeful for.
Right.
But right now, in the moment, if we're just comparing the feeling of this team to past teams that were bad, I don't remember feeling like, oh man, I think they're just going to have teams impose their will on them, and there's nothing that they can do about it.
And there's now an extra game where Whisenhunt didn't even have that extra game, 17-game season.
Yeah.
And adding an extra game to a Titans schedule right now makes it feel like it's going to take 3 years off my life.
Well, and to y'all's point, though, and here's the devil's advocate side of this. We're talking about a core nucleus of young guys going against a veteran-led team that's been through some lean years, that is on their way back up. They're getting out of that valley, right? And so you're putting some college kids, they're pros now, but they're still learning that pro game. That's why I say you can't replace experience. That's why I think even if it's bad, you got to keep Cam in there because he needs that experience, good, bad, or indifferent. But you're also putting these kids, I'm calling them kids, they're 22, 23 years old. Rookies against some veterans who've seen it, done it all. Now, you're going to have moments, and you're gonna shine at times, but over consistency, it's going to show. And then injuries to boot, all the different things. This team is not built like that just yet. And I compare it to rosters and best teams, and I think about some of the good teams that have been here. When somebody was injured, the next guy came in, you didn't feel like there was a great big drop-off. You're right. And you felt like they sustained. Even most recent with I'm thinking, what's the big tackle that we got from the Eagles in a trade?
Dennis Kelly.
Yeah. Remember when he came in and spelled? He had his moments where he got beat, but you didn't feel like it was this complete drop-off. He's got to go and fill the shoes. Now, if we get the backup line, we're like, oh, crap, what's going to happen? And I think that is the greatest sense of, anxiety you have about this team going forward is building this roster and being so young and trying to compete. And the AFC is tough.
I agree. Coming up next, we'll go to Eric, Angry Man, Will Randall. We'll take your call, 615-737-1045. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company. All you need, visit them online at leecompany.com. And this is 104.5 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com because they're available 24/7. Put Lee Company on your team to tackle your home's heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical problems. Schedule online at leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need is T85. Put it in the chat. I'm not mad. I'm just sad.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
He's dejected. T85 in the chat. And F&M Bank Chat, of course, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live. You could talk to myself, Dr. Dyson, Stoney Keeley, so we can do all that. But hey, guess what? It's time for the phones, and you know who the first caller is.
Gotta be Eric, right?
It's got to be Eric. So Eric, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Hey, guys, before I get to my observations about the games, let me say this. Tajay Spears, you know when you make a comment like, we're going to shock the world, if I'm seeing it here, you know they've got to be playing that in Indianapolis and certainly in the locker room. And if you're going to say something like that, you got to be able to back it up, okay?
For sure.
Yeah. Guys, as far as the game goes, you're right. First half, played a pretty good first half, but it seems like we can't string a second half or two halves together. That's been our big issue. Missed field goal right before the half. Then we get the ball to open the third quarter, didn't sustain that, and then bam, right after that, Jonathan Taylor runs 80 yards for a touchdown. And early on, guys, in a few years, we were able to ball him up, keep him in check, but he's run crazy against us the last few times, so it seems like that's over. I don't know if we could get better angles on him or just whatever, but it's just so frustrating to see that. And then also where Amani Hooker went out and got hurt, I heard on the radio that he had his helmet on the sidelines and couldn't get back in before that next touchdown pass came. But, guys, I tell you what, you said two of the things we were, and I want to add a third. Not only are we hapless and hopeless, but we're also helpless, guys. This is just I mean, you just don't know what to say about this team. Guys, I will definitely be at the game next Sunday, and hopefully things will get better, but I sincerely doubt it. Guys, y'all take care. We'll talk to you again soon and tighten up.
All right, thanks, Eric. Helpless is a good word because what did Coach Mack say right after the game was over?
Oh, I don't think I didn't write it down.
It was
like they can't. I don't want to misquote him, but it was like they can't get anything going against anybody or something like that
at any point. Like he was they just can't get it going. It's like he almost said like they can't do anything.
Yeah, it just sounded so defeated. It was like, oh man, this is bad. This is where we're at.
What do you think about that term, helpless?
And I'm trying to think of, like, when you think of helpless, you think of literally somebody who can't do for themselves, right? And get in their own way. And I think of a kid.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When you think of something like helpless, like you got to help a kid. And so when I hear that, I'm like, dang, are we that where we're just struggling with this team to find something positive in what they're doing that we're calling them helpless? And there was times today, especially when the defensive run game, I was like, they look, for lack of a better way, helpless.
Yeah.
It's like they really need somebody out there that can come out and help them be productive. And I don't know, man. It's hard for me to say that with professional athletes because you are at the pinnacle of your life, of your athletic life, and we are literally having conversations about your ability or as a team of being helpless at this point. When I think about what you're playing for and all the things within yourself, I'm like, helpless? Like, those are strong words in a sense when you talk about professional sports, in my opinion.
Because they do have a hard time helping themselves, right? I mean, sometimes it falls on the coaching. It's not just the players, but like you could have helped yourselves maybe going for a fourth down or being a little bit more aggressive. And I get the decisions on fourth down are conservative, but I have felt that this team, and I think Cam Ward echoed that in his postgame presser, is more aggressive. Like when I was going through and counting the explosive plays, there were a bunch of throws that were 14 yards, 18 yards, 17 yards. Those don't count as explosive plays because you have to be 20, but they still had 20. They had 4 20-plus pass plays, 21 to DK, 26 to Aya Manor. Chig got 23 and Gunnar Helm got 22, and then they still had 3 explosive runs. So I do think that there's a moment here where you look at, okay, they have gotten better in some things, but going back to last year, this does feel like a team that has a hard time helping themselves out of a hole.
Yeah, and I've called it like stepping on the banana peel. Like the defense at times feels like they step back and they slip on the banana peel. Eric mentioned the dramatic swing in points. 28 unanswered points when the Titans pulled to within 3. It was 10-7, and then the Colts rattled off 28 unanswered points, including a 20-yard touchdown, an 80-yard touchdown. There's a 19-yard touchdown in there, and then a play where Cody Barton ends up one-on-one with Josh Downs, which is a mismatch. And it feels like that's when the avalanche happens, is in the middle of these games when they're playing tough, they're playing competitive, they're in it. We've talked about it these last 2 weeks being the best they've looked on offense, and then they give up these runs. And then it feels like that's where things start to slide and the offense kind of pivots. And you talked about like putting pressure on Cam Ward to go out there and go win it. And they're just not built to do that yet.
Yeah, they're not good enough to do that yet. I think several weeks ago, and it still holds true to this day, whether it's interim head coach or prior head coach or just any team, really, it's complementary football. And what we have not seen is a consistent game for extended periods of time of all 3 phases on the positive. You know, you might get a long drive from the offense and get like they got a long drive scored. Defense couldn't stop. You know what I mean? Then you decide not to go for the 4th down and pin them back. You had just a decent drive before, pin you back, and you give up 80-yard touchdown. So it is that complementary football term is where I feel like they're the furthest away because they'll have pockets of times when you think, okay, they can do some things on offense. We've seen it, at least in the first half of the last 2 games. We've seen some opportunities, and then the defense struggles and has lapsed. Then we see missed field goals or something or to that effect. So it just, if we keep going back to that term alone, complementary football, if we can get a consistent brand of football for a majority of a game, I think we will say, okay, we see them going in the right direction. We wouldn't see these 41 to 20s and the 38 to 17s and all that kind of stuff that we are seeing. You see some good closer football games.
Yeah, it's something that we kind of talked about is like, it does feel like this offense is more comfortable these last 2 weeks than it has been. Like it understands the why behind plays. Like it understands this scheme or the play calls a lot better and are able to execute it. But sometimes that one little thing goes wrong and the play doesn't get executed. Like Io Manor, I don't know, that deep shot, typically a quarterback is thrown to a spot, and it looks like Ellick was either choosing between a route that he was going to do, or because he does this little hitch in his hip where you're like, is he going to cut in? And Cam Ward misses him, right? And Cam Ward fell on the grenade for that interaction right there. Not rightfully so. He's the quarterback, shouldn't be throwing anybody under the bus. But to your point, I feel like the points will come because we are seeing this offense be able to move the ball better than it has. The problem is it hasn't yielded the results because for all the points that we're talking about, you know, since Brian Callahan, they were scoring points when he had the play caller. Well, a lot of those were field goals, right? I mean, now you got a bunch of missed field goals. How's that the offense's issue? So, I view it as this offense is getting better. It's just not yielding the results. But with a young team, just give it time. The points will come and all that kind of stuff.
It also kind of feels like guys are just getting more comfortable playing with one another because you are going out there each and every week and you're getting the reps in, and I mean, so far, knock on wood, it doesn't feel like the injury bug has really bit this offense incredibly hard just yet. So, you know, I immediately think of J.C. Latham and Calvin Ridley, but outside of those guys, it feels like it's the same core nucleus that's going out there week in and week out. And the hope, if you're optimistic about this, is that eventually these reps, these going out week in and week out with the same group, is what helps cause this thing to turn around.
And keep in mind, as we talk, and y'all are with me on this, is that core nucleus of guys seems to be the young guys. And really can help. And he just has been injured for the last little bit. But the young guys, Gunner in particular, I think he's going to be one of these tight ends. Where he's progressing, he's going to be one of these tight ends we're talking about. He's in that conversation of Pro Bowler if they use him properly, I guess. because he has that kind of ability. He has good hands and he likes to block. But they're still young. But they are getting valuable reps, and you can see them getting better. Now, does that obviously does not equate to wins, especially when competing against a team like what we see in the Colts, who their core nucleus of guys, they added another quarterback who was supposed to be a journeyman or whatever, and look at him. He's in that conversation for MVP. They got 2 MVP candidates.
Yeah.
Well, and I to the point, this youth movement, if you want to call it that, I mean, Chimere Dike, 8 targets, and he caught 7 of them for 93 yards.
There you go.
Chigakonkwo got involved, 4 for 5 for 53. Elikai Manor didn't have the best day, but he was still productive, right? 4 for 8, 52 yards, and probably left a touchdown on the field. Tajay Spears was active today. Like, the Gunnar Helm, 2 for 3 for 23 yards. So those guys are getting involved, and Cam is finding ways to get them their touches, which is what you want. Because how many times, like when Marcus got drafted in 2015, you're like, draft a wide receiver high to have them grow together. And they didn't. They waited till 2017 to get Corey Davis. And by then, Marcus had already suffered the huge injury and pretty much derailed his career. And then you get A.J. Brown, but then you trade A.J. Brown. So while DK and Io Manor aren't A.J. Brown level wide receivers right now, Chimere Dike is showing big playability, dependability, and that's what you're looking for. And if he can grow with those 3 guys, and I'm kind of against trading Chig right now.
Yeah.
And to me, if you can sign him, extend him to a modest contract, I want Chig here.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I'd be much more willing to trade Ridley, even though I know Ridley can help, because I want these guys to get all the targets.
Yeah.
These guys are going to be here next year.
Yeah.
Ridley may not be here next year. These are the guys you're building with. And then you put in another work of offseason, with these 3 guys or 4 guys, and you're going to have a different kind of offense even next year, with hopefully a better scheme, better play caller. That's why I kind of have a hard time really buying into hopeless. Yes, 2025 is hopeless as far as win-losses, but it's not hopeless as far as the outlook of the team, but we go back to the head coach. But the youth movement, in your eyes, how's that viewed for you, Stoney?
Yeah, so I think these guys hitting at the rate that they're hitting at right now with Helm and DK and Io Manor, and to your point, I do kind of feel like Chig has been a little miscast in this system. I don't think he's being used to the full extent of his talent and his ability. I would not be opposed to keeping him around at all. Having these guys in place, I don't know if you have like a true number 1 out of any of these guys, but what it allows you to do is you've built out kind of the depth among these pass catchers. So now it kind of frees you up where you can collect the final infinity stone, so to speak, where if you go into the draft and you get like one of the top receivers out of this class, like all of a sudden you look at that core and it's like, okay, we got some weapons here.
Like you get Jordan Tyson or Chris
Bell. Yeah.
Even Carnell Tate. Malachi Lemon as well. I mean, those are guys that can all help the Tennessee Titans next year.
If that's the strategy.
If that's the strategy, right? Like, I mean, that should be the strategy because you should still be building around Cam Ward. Yeah. I know the defense is atrocious, but you can win games in the NFL while your defense is kind of bad if your offense is good, and Cam Ward is your big investment.
Yeah. When I think about this receiver core in Justin, and we're getting ahead of ourselves. I know we got to get to calls, but there's a particular core that this reminds me of. It's not necessarily the speedy game breaker type of guy, just consistent playmakers, potential playmakers, the Buccaneers.
Ooh,
Mike Evans. Mike Evans wasn't a gasher type guy, but he knew how to use his body, make plays. He could get vertical, and he kind of fits the same mold as I
kind of like Ellick.
Yep, and he got Godwin, kind of same, like you know what I mean. Like that's kind of that receiver core that kind of flew under the radar, but was very productive. And if that is the case with this Titans, because they're not going to be the A.J. Brown type guys, but they could be consistent pass catchers throughout their career where you're saying that got a good one. And that's kind of what that mold, they remind me of that core. And then you got a quarterback they can build on. And they've had that core with multiple quarterbacks. Now, they did have Tom Brady, and that was the thing. But and now we got Baker Mayfield playing out his mind right now. Playing consistent football, I should say, not out of his mind. But that's kind of the core they remind me of just at a
I
young
love
age.
that.
And can they build upon that? And you're seeing the instincts of the franchise or their plans by letting go a veteran who was one catch 5 yards, one catch 6 yards. You know what? We got this veteran. Let's go with the young guys and develop them and let them get the experience.
Yeah, I fully agree. And I think that's what they need to continue doing is just leaning in these young guys. I mean, you're at a playoff contention anyway, barring some like crazy miracle run that nobody's expecting. So you might as well just keep leaning into the youth. All right, let's go to Angry Man. Angry Man, you're on with Tight Talkback.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm gonna try to keep it short. I'm trying to cook dinner. I got like 4 quick points and a question for y'all. So, I called y'all a while back. I think it was like week 4, and I said, man, if we're gonna have 13 meaningless weeks of football, I didn't know it was gonna be this bad. I was hoping it wouldn't be, but hey, we are where we are. I was texting a friend of mine during the game, and I was talking about how Cam missed. I forgot who it was on that deep throw. I said he needs a little bit more touch. And he texted me back and said, you know, the game hasn't slowed down for him yet. And I think that's what we all got to realize. You know what I'm saying? We got a rookie. The team was bad. We just didn't need a quarterback. We got a lot of holes to fill. So be patient. He shows us flashes of what he can do, and we get the right pieces around him. We're gonna be all right. The next point, we won in 16, 4th and 2. Intern coach, you got to go for it. You got a long shot at getting this job. If you blow it on 4th down, nobody's gonna be mad at you. Last point, Cam, Gunner, DK, Iron Manor. I like the young pieces we got. I think they're going to be good with some experience. I like the upside. Here's my question. So I read somewhere that Steve Sarkisian had said something about he would be interested in coming to the NFL and that his people are talking behind the scenes that he would be interested in taking the Titans job. My question is, have you guys heard that? And what do y'all think? What's your opinion if they gave him that, opportunity? I'd like to hear what y'all think about that.
All right, thanks, Angry Man. I did hear that yesterday, and then he vehemently crapped all over Diana Rossini.
I missed that part.
Yeah, he went off in his post-game presser, and he's like, that person can call me, and I'd like to, talk to that person that reported it and blah, 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 because it's just factually untrue. He went off. And now, listen, we've heard Nick Saban also do that kind of stuff before he left Miami, right?
Touche.
Yeah, coaches lie. I don't know about Sark, really. I'm kind of indifferent. I think there's just so many other better, more qualified candidates to choose from.
Yeah, I would agree, but in general, I would say let's be open-minded about this coaching search and leave no stone unturned. I just don't know that I might be okay with leaving the Sark stone unturned.
Well, the college to pro immediate thing of recent hasn't been the greatest sample size. Whether it be Kelly, Kingsbury,
Matt Rule.
There's been guys that actually have gone back to the college game because it's just a different animal. Saban being one of the greatest collegiate coaches ever, who has coached in the NFL, who went back to the college game and had a great career there at Alabama. So again, I'm with you, Stoney. I don't think you rule out anybody at this point. I think you're evaluating everybody. You're looking at what's going on. You don't think they're paying attention to what just happened at LSU or what just happened in Florida. They're paying attention to all that, and they're looking at these other teams as they get more and more successful and their assistant coaches. What Aaron Glenn did today with the Jets, that's part of that conversation. You're talking about a first-time head coach coming from a franchise that was built a certain type of way. And are you looking at that kind of sample size? So I'm with you. I don't think anybody's outside the realm of possibility at this point. I think as a fan of the team, as a person who watches it, I just want to get somebody here that they can build it with and build it up.
Right.
Because that has been since Vrabel started having his slight decline, it's continued to landslide down that way. We need to get somebody that's going to start going the other direction.
And to be fair, he helped Texas do that. Now it's college is different than the NFL, but he's helped turn a program around.
Yeah.
And last time he was an offensive coordinator in the NFL, so we got to keep that in mind. He's actually been a coach at the NFL level. He was
Atlanta, right?
Yeah, at Atlanta, 8th in yards, 15 in points his first year, then 6th in yards, 10 in points for offense.
Yeah.
So he was a top 15 offense 2 years in a row with Atlanta before going over and taking the job at Texas.
And I'll argue that college and pro are not so much different anymore.
Oh, that is true.
Because of the
The
NIL and managing salaries and players and things of that nature. And his contract is a pro style contract himself. So that would be my argument because college athletics almost turned into professional athletics.
But also, how bad is Arch Manning that he wants to come coach the Titans?
That's a good point. That'd be question number 1 in the interview.
That will be. I mean, it is, and when it got announced by Diana Rossini that she's hearing that, and I guess she heard it via like the owners' meeting scuttlebutt that happened this week, and so I was like, okay, but I also saw a lot of fans just hate the idea, and I'm like, I don't know if I really dislike this idea as much as maybe the fans do, but because I do see that guy that has built a program.
And has an NFL
I do
experience.
see a guy that's made a lot of personal mistakes that could probably relate to a lot of people. I've seen a guy have success in the NFL. I've seen a guy be very creative on offense. I mean, Sark is probably one of the most, if not the most, creative play caller and play designer in the college football ranks right now, in my mind. I mean, the stuff that the plays that he calls and does in the red zone is wild. Yeah. Like, I mean, it is just insane. And I've seen a guy have success over there at Texas. Now, he's never won a championship, but listen, winning a championship, whether it's the Super Bowl or the college football, is really hard unless you're Nick Saban.
Yeah. And I can't do it because he's a BYU guy, so y'all talk about it.
I'd give him credit, too, for he seems to put his personnel in pretty good spots to succeed.
Yeah.
He seems to have an understanding of what he's got on offense.
Yeah.
I'd agree. All right, coming up next, we'll go more your phones. We'll go to Will and Eric in Nashville. This is the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company. All you need, visit them online at leecompany.com. And this is 104.5 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. All you need, visit them online at leecompany.com. Got Kevin Dyson, the Dr. Kevin Dyson across from me. Got the scholar Stoney Keeley, and I'm the Professor Zach Lyons. But before we get to the calls, let's check out today's final sack number tonight. Thanks to Draymond Jones, Roger McCreary, and Tavondre Sweat, the Titans had 3 sacks versus the Colts, adding $300 to the already $1,700, bringing that total to $2,000 for Kroger's donation to Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee. And every time the Titans sack the opposing team's quarterback, Kroger donates $100 to Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee. From Kroger, through its Zero Hunger, Zero Waste plan, Kroger is committed to creating communities free of hunger and waste. Kroger is the official tailgate headquarters of the Tennessee Titans. Try Boost by Kroger Plus for free pickup and delivery, plus 2 times the fuel points with your membership. Start your free trial today at Kroger.com and pay as low as 1 cent per gallon when you redeem fuel points by using your shopper's card. Every 100 points gets you 10 cents off per gallon. Exclusions apply. Visit Kroger.com for details. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Will. Will, you're on with Titans Talkback.
How's it going, boys? Got to give the 3 of you a shout. You know, when I was growing up and I went into college, one of my dreams was that I would be sitting in the seats you guys fill. But watching this football team for 8 weeks, I'm no longer jealous. I don't know how you guys come on here and can figure out what to talk about every week, because I don't know what to call about. But sitting on hold, I could not disagree with the previous caller more. When I watch Cam Ward, it seems like things have slowed down, and especially today, seeing some of those habits with the drifting back when he's throwing, I didn't see that today. I saw him stand tall, and the broadcast said a few times that he was delivering strikes and amongst pressure, and I tend to agree. And then Dr. Dyson brought up the Bucks as a comp when I was on hold, and I look at the Packers when they took Wicks, Dobbs, and Jaden Reed. That kind of feels like this core a little bit. But the last point I'll make is that it's kind of amazing that at this point of the season, I'm sitting here with more hope in the offense today and going forward than the defense. When it was either this offseason or 2 offseasons ago, we were all so excited that they had all these defensive guys under contract and they could just focus on the offense. Well, now the turnaround looks like it's going to be on the defensive side of the ball. So there was good things on the offensive side. We all know that. But I think that defense rebuild that they're going to have to undergo, it's a lot of things that they're going to have to fix on that side. So appreciate you boys. Keep it up.
Man.
Yeah, thanks, Will. And that is a good point, because he did. We kind of glossed over the fact, because we got talking about Steve Sarkisian about that comment that the game hasn't slowed down for Cam Ward.
Yeah.
And I agree with Will, disagree with the prior caller, because I do think the game has slowed down. I find the deep shot not to really be on Cam's mechanics, Cam's decision-making, or anything like that. That missed deep shot to Ellick really feels like, to me, bulk of the blame should be on Ellick. Because how many times have we seen Cam Ward make a mistake, knows he made the mistake, or knows he missed an open guy, he points to himself. This time, he was furious.
He was
at
hot.
Ellick. He was hot.
Yelling.
Yeah.
So I think that lets you know, really, when you're discussing this ball being thrown, is that he's throwing it to a spot. He's expecting his receiver to be there. That's how those deep sideline shots usually go, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and I think you got to help your quarterback out too. And obviously, I'm not going to sit here and bash Cam. There's some things he needs to do, like there's some accuracy things and some off throw angle things that he does and whatever. But from a competitor standpoint, you can see the maturation of him. Even how he's handling the pressers, he's gotten a little bit better. You know what I mean? And I thought it was funny and poignant when he was talking about we were ass. I thought that was funny. It was genuine and authentic, and that was his truth at that time. Now, as a leader of a franchise, you probably got to choose better words to illustrate that point. But it was him, and I think I think you want to empower your guy. But going into the 8th week of the season, now 9th week of the season, you want to see, and we know there's no playoff hopes, right? We're out of it. You do want to see that growth. And if you look statistically, there has been growth, but it's kind of hard to give that credit because it hasn't looked good at all from a totality standpoint. Like Will said, the defense seems to be, we have the biggest concern right now. And it's evident if Big Jeff is not in there, there is completely a different defense without him in the game. And so he was kind of, and which is crazy, he's one man and playing between 2 and 3 gaps, and he's that big of a difference between how good this defense looked and not, at least for today it was.
Yeah.
And so I think going forward, if we can continue to see Cam hitting at a higher percentage rate, 63, 64, 65%, not turning the ball over, and moving the chains a little bit. Now we just got to get into the end zone a little bit more. I think you're looking forward to what's potentially could be going in 2026 with this young group of receivers and quarterback.
And last week, to your point, it's, last week Cam Ward looks good, but then the fumble happens, and that totally changes everybody's optics. This week, Cam Ward looks good, but maybe it's the Io Manor deep pass that has everybody in a tizzy, or it's the fact that they're not scoring points.
Yeah, people are saying the interception too, but I don't really hold the spot in that game that interception happened in. I don't really blame him for that. It is not on the same level as
well. You can only go into the end zone. There is there is no first down marker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and really the play you should be mad at is the play before, where he takes the sack instead of throwing the ball out of bounds.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And while they're losing, that matters when you're talking about the growth of Cam Ward. He hasn't been a guy that makes a lot of the same mistakes twice, so you hope that he learns from that. But that changes also the whole dynamic of the following play, because he's having to throw it further down the field.
Yeah. And I'm sure Dr. Dyson can speak to the scheme issue on this better than I can, but there's a couple of different things that look alike that the Titans run. And I thought, now, tape study pending, I got to go back and watch the all 22. There are some plays they run where they have 3 receivers on the same side of the field at the sideline at different levels of the field. So you got a short, intermediate, and a deep guy, all breaking out. Similar concept, but that top guy keeps going straight. There's 2 different things. And it looked to me like Io Manor should have kept going downfield, but he started to break out. And when he looks around for the ball and sees it's coming over his head, he turns and tries to get upfield, and he just can't get there in time. I personally, again, I just jotted down in my notes, watching it in real time off the replay they showed on the broadcast. That's what it looked like to me. But tape study pending, and Cam's reaction, you mentioned that being a big component of it. I felt like that miss was more on Io Manor than it was on Cam Ward, even if he fell on the sword for
Listen
it.
to y'all talk about that and thinking about what happens and thinking about the reaction. And we talked about the play calling and the length of it, the words in it, right? And there could be a staple play like you have, and there's one adjustment like close or exchange or stuff like that. And if you miss it, it throws off the whole complexity of play, because now you're messing up. You might have had the out, if you will, on the previous play, but that one word change switched your route and made somebody else become that in the primary and all those types of things. So I wonder if that's the case where a young receiver missed the call or missed the check or missed that one little flip, and he ends up being in the way, or Cam expected something different. Like, you hear that's the call. And that's what it makes me think, that there was something missed within the wording or something in that experience.
That could be. And listen, that interception was it was so close to being a magnificent touchdown dart to Chimere DK.
Which would have been really fun if they get that touchdown there. I mean, who knows? Yeah.
Well, they're not winning, but I mean,
you could at least get over 20 points.
Yeah. Let's go to Eric in Nashville. Eric, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Hey, good evening, gentlemen. Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. First of all, thank y'all for having me. Stoney, Zach, Dr. Dyson, great talk, y'all.
Thank you for calling in.
I've got 2 points to make tonight. One, you guys have already addressed. The other one, maybe a little bit outside. The first one is, watching the game today, the young guys do bring some level of excitement to a team that's not very exciting. DK, Io Manor, even Cam Ward, like there is some excitement there, even though the team does not have the results for it. Second point, have we considered Flubber? I know this is aging me a little bit, but Flubber as an opportunity. Because there's a few passes that have been over the heads of our receivers. A non-Newtonian jelly could maybe give us the edge that we need to get those catches that we're missing.
I like it. Dr. Dyson, thoughts on using flubber from as a way to help the Titans receivers catch some balls? Is flubber illegal?
It might be. It might be. If it falls in line with what's that? Sticky hands with them things that
the stick 'em?
The pine tar, right?
The pine tar. It falls in line with that.
Yeah.
So it's been outdated. But honestly, the gloves nowadays, you see way more one-handed catches than any other era because of the gloves and how they're manufactured, and they're so tacked that you can almost just literally walk and catch ball with your hand. They're that tacked. Now, most drops happen from mistiming. You assume you have it, and you drop. You turn your eyes. Different stuff like that. But I don't know if flubber is the answer.
Why limit ourselves to flubber? I mean, let's call up Inspector Gadget while we're at it.
Yeah.
Get some go Gadget arms on some of these receivers.
That'd be a heck of a Hail Mary.
What
there
about,
you go.
Duck Falling in the chat says Angels in the end zone.
There we go. Let's make it happen.
Maybe someone can, maybe Cam Ward can get fall off. What was the rookie of the year? Did he fall off the bike and break his arm and then he could throw it for 90 miles or 100 miles?
I think
What was that?
It's been a minute.
It was something like that. Flubber, though, that's where we're at. With the Tennessee Titans. Titans need to use flubber.
Now we need the Jim Kelly K-Gun offense call.
There you go. I do think that there is a level of excitement. Like, obviously, the Tennessee Titans are not putting out a quality product on the field. But if you were to go and say, hey, next year, the offense should be better. That's kind of where I'm at with all this. Is like, I understand the limitations of this offense. I just want Cam Ward to be healthy, and I want him to continue, even if it's baby steps, week to week improvement.
Yeah.
Because we didn't see that with Will Levis last year. We'd maybe see one good game, and then we'd see a string of bad games. And so far, Cam Ward has been able to put together, really, to me, two of his best games back to back. And he's improved in certain aspects of his game.
Yeah. Well, we're just crossing the halfway point of the season, right? Right around. We're about halfway.
Yeah.
And so you got a good sample size, and you can start making assumptions for next year in a sense of, okay, where we're at right now, what would we need going forward with this offense? I think quality depth and at offensive line. I think you add some depth on the skill position wise, but from bird's eye view, depending on how they develop, especially in the offseason, I'm okay with the young guys. I think they're going to be all right. I think even the tight ends, again, you got to keep everybody, but things going to happen. I think the receivers, you still got Ridley, who we seen this offseason, had a great offseason, great preseason, so much you got to see on his chest.
Yeah.
Right? So offensively, I think it's closer than we like to believe, and we forget sometimes that, and I'm not throwing this out as an excuse for somebody to go out here and say I'm giving them an excuse. We forget that they are still learning the NFL game. There is a difference in competition level, different in schematics. There's a difference in philosophy. The field is condensed a lot different. In the timing, how the play clock is done, how you get out of bounds. There's a lot of different things in the National Football League, even as simple as I can get 1 foot down in college, you had to get 2 feet down in the pros. That is a major difference for a lot of guys. So my point in saying that is, if we're looking at it somewhat at the halfway point of the season, you start thinking towards the latter part of this year, and I hate doing that, but if you do that, you say offensively, we getting there. Now, it's about play caller, putting the guys in the right position, make plays, and when you get there, you have to make those plays consistently. That's all part of this stuff too. But you from a bird's eye view of what is there, maybe that's better. I like the potential of it.
It's been incremental improvement over the last several weeks as well. I mean, you're seeing it. It's not clicking at the rate that they wanted it to click at, obviously. But I do feel like my only real nitpicks for Cam Ward from this game, it felt like he held onto the ball a little too long at times when he should have thrown it away.
Or run it.
And there were times when I felt like the seas parted in front of him and he was still looking to throw the ball. He's not the fastest, most athletic guy as a runner. But you telling me you can't pick up 4 yards when there's no defender within 5 yards of you? It felt like that's a moment where it should have hit him. Like, I'm just going to take this and move the chains. those are two things that we talk about, getting reps, getting more comfortable in the NFL. I'm sure will come with time. But talking about the youth movement, that is where I think you're starting to look at these pieces and say, okay, now we've got something to build around.
Yeah.
When have we really had this many young, quote unquote, pass catchers or playmakers? I mean,
At
like
the same time?
At the same time, right? Like we're talking about Cam Ward included in this, but Gunnar Helm, Chimere DK, Elikai Mayer. That's four players that are the main components of your passing offense right now that are only in their 8th game in the NFL.
It's pretty wild. I mean, I can't think of a time off the top of my head. And if we want to keep this thing going further, you talk about offensive line depth being a thing. If this team is out of the playoff race,
it's time to see what Jackson Slater is doing.
At what point do you look at how much Kevin Zeitler is struggling and say, we got to work the rookie in here, get him some reps, because we need to know Zeitler's on a 1-year deal, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
We need to know if we need a right guard next year or not. So let's just get all these guys on the field. Kalel Mullings, too, whenever he's healthy, if he's going to see the field this season. Get everybody out there and see what you got.
Get Air Bud.
Yeah, why not?
We got listen. Casey Brown in the chat says, "I can't believe we've never thought of Flubber before."
That's what Titans Talkback is about.
Yeah,
innovation.
Airbud, Flubber, and Angels in the End Zone. There you go.
Robin Williams.
All right, coming up next, more of your calls, 615-737-1045, and we'll get into some bigger discussions about the game itself. This is Titans Talkback, the Lee Company Titans Talkback right here on 1045 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company. Tackle their heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical problems, and they can protect your home too. Your next play, visit leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. 615-737-1045 is the number. All right. So Cedric Gray was in the locker room after the game, and he was talking to media. He said, flat out, players need to make some plays. He also said the biggest, the biggest reason for them not playing very well, and he included special teams and offense in this, is flat out, simply put, lack of execution. And so he's got, this is a year two guy. And he is pretty much saying the same thing that we've been saying, that Cam Ward is saying, lack of execution. And some of these players, including himself probably in some situations, just flat out need to make a play. Mm-hmm. Whether that's a pass breakup or a tackle or something. You got to do something because what they're doing is not working. This is the third game in a row versus the Titans where Jonathan Taylor has 3 touchdowns. So he has 9 touchdowns total the last 3 games. It is utterly ridiculous and, quite frankly, embarrassing to watch that run defense today. And I understand, no Big Jeff, but there's a lot of heavy lifting that Big Jeff would have to do. He would have to be the whole entire defense, which right now he may be, because Cody Barton's not taking the right angles. He's not taking the right run fits and all this kind of stuff. You saw nobody setting the edge very well, and they were partying like the Red Seas, like they were Moses for some of those Jonathan Taylor runs. It was insane. Where do you think the defense can really – because if he's week to week, Jeffrey Simmons, if he's not back next week, who needs to step up besides Cedric Gray, who is stepping up every week on this defense?
Sweat being one. I think he's now the kind of the anchor of that defensive line, especially that interior run game. That was evident today, and I thought he maybe took a step back. And he looked pedestrian without his running mate, without Big Jeff. I think the secondary today, now 50-50 balls what they are, and it's an offensive league. The advantage goes to the offense. They do that for a lot of reasons, to maybe get a PI or whatnot. Receivers are typically bigger than DBs and the whole nine nowadays. But there's a couple opportunities where you gotta, like you said, get a pass breakup. And that's just today. That's just overall.
Right.
Somebody sometime has to make a play. And I think, and I go back to the Herm Edwards thing on Hard Knocks he said years ago, regardless of scheme, it all matters. Don't get me wrong. It all matters. But at some point, somewhere in the field, your one player's going to have a one-on-one matchup, and we need to win those more often than they do. And that's how you give yourself a chance to win. And that just stuck with me. That's the absolute truth. I don't care if you're in zone defense, if you're running a RPO, all the tags you want to, at some point, it's going to be man-on-man, and I had to win more battles against you than you win against me. And that's how I give my team a chance to win. And I feel like right now, in those circumstances, the other are winning those, whether it be the Colts, whether it be whomever. It feel like they're winning those one-on-one battles more often than the Titans are, and that is the difference. Because we see flashes on all of it, 3 phases. You see different things. DK's maybe be a Pro Bowler and kick returner. I don't know, because he's a rookie. He may not get the nod, but he's in that conversation. He's leading in the NFL. But you see Cam Ward maturation. You've seen defense make stops. You've seen a little bit of everything. Remember, beginning of the year, we're talking how good the defense was. Can they carry the team for the length of the year? Now we're seeing a chink in their armor with the injuries and lack of pass rush and different things coming up in that nature. But at the end of the day, like he said, we have to make plays more often than the other team. That's how you give yourself a chance to win. And what we see the Colts today, they made more plays than the Titans.
I got something for you guys. The Titans today had 6 players with 3 or more tackles. 5 of those 6 were defensive backs. What does that tell you? Oof. What does that tell you?
It tells you that
the front was getting blocked up.
Yep.
And, from the broadcast copy, I went back and watched the tape from the Patriots game a week ago, and it felt like this team really struggled with like misdirections and cutbacks, where if a back went inside, the linebackers went inside with him and abandoned their gap on the outside. So the back cuts outside. There's nobody there to block him. I'm watching for that in this game too, but I know from the broadcast copy, it felt like guys were getting washed out of the play left and right. And at some point, this is a good offensive line that they were going up against. I don't take anything away from them, but if you're going to stop the run and prevent Jonathan Taylor from getting to the second level, you've got to shed a block. You've got to win that one-on-one and get in and force him to go down. Like, you've got to get a tackle opportunity on the guy, and it felt like they were just getting blocked out of the play and just riding on out of the way. And Jonathan Taylor, like you said, parting the seas, like there's room for him to run, and that's a problem. And it's one thing that I think they've got to get cleaned up, because this run defense has been a problem, a major problem for the last 2 games now.
I think there's a fear, too, of selling out for the run, which you give up in edges. We talk about splash plays, and they did give up those today as well, but now you're putting guys on islands, and we've seen some struggles on there with Snead and some others have struggled on islands a little bit this year, too. So, it's almost like you're danged if you do, danged if you don't. Like, do I sell out to stop the run to make sure and make them one-dimensional? Well, but we've struggled on that side as well. So now I got to play coverage behind that pressure, and if we don't get there, there's a struggle there too. So it just comes down to, as he said, man, coaches got to put guys in position to make plays, and when they do, we got to make them.
Yeah, the Jonathan Taylor, 12 carries. So you only had 12 carries.
He had 12 carries today?
153 yards, 12.8 yards per carry.
Like he has so many more
I don't know,
carries.
right? But I mean, it's just that he was doing a lot with it. I mean, again, to your point, I agree the offensive line is good. Obviously, this Colts team is one of the best, if not really, we need to be talking maybe that they are the best team in the NFL.
I think they are.
I mean, they're at least top 3 right now.
Yeah.
And after the first game, it should be no surprise that they were able to do whatever they wanted to against this Tennessee Titans team, especially a Tennessee Titans team that didn't have L'Jarius Sneed. It didn't have Jeffrey Simmons. It lost Femi Oladejo, and then Arden Key didn't play, so you were down 2 edge rushers. Then Ali Gay went out. Then Darrell Baker Jr. went out today with a concussion. And then, so you got Samuel Womack out there, and all this stuff, like all these injuries happen, and it's hard to overcome that when you're already a bad team.
Yeah.
So I understand it that, hey, a lot of this is going to be injury related, but I also understand that, hey, we've seen Jeffrey Simmons play in a Colts game and it still not matter.
Yeah.
It matters to a certain degree, right? But at the same time, the way that this game was going at the beginning, you almost needed him for that more than, because I think you could have maybe stayed in it a little bit better.
Yeah.
And that was the issue, was that until that conservative punt, and then they had the 80-yard run, you guys were kind of in that game.
Yeah.
They settled in nicely.
I mean, they really were kind of in that game.
And I think that's why the decision to punt came up.
Yeah.
Because they were still kind of in it.
And for me, it's like, okay, maybe that's where Big Jeff helps, are in those moments at the beginning of the game, and maybe you don't have an 80-yard touchdown. Now, that may still be an 80-yard drive for a touchdown, but maybe that's something different for this team. But at the end of the day, do remember just a couple of games ago, 3 touchdowns allowed by Jonathan Taylor. Yeah. Last year, Jeffrey Simmons was there, 3 touchdowns allowed by. So, I mean, there's only so much one man can do is my point.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you fix this defense this year, and I'm not sure it's going to get that much better next year unless you get a better defensive coach. And I'm not trying to say that Denard Wilson has done a bad job, because there are games where Denard Wilson this year put together a hell of a defensive performance with this team. And right now, this roster is beyond what anybody can really handle. The only person that could do something with this roster defensively was probably Robert Saleh, and I don't even know if he could do it because I think the players over at San Francisco are better than the players that you have right now.
You know how you fix a defense real quick? And we saw it here. You get a double-digit sack guy.
Yep.
And I don't care what happens on the backside. That guy is able to put pressure on an offense at any given point. Changes everybody's dynamics in that secondary, linebackers included. He changes that.
Because Cleveland's defense is not really the issue in Cleveland, right? But they still lose games, but at least you can say, hey, they got Myles Garrett, they got a pretty good defense. They're not really the issue.
Right. Yeah, and so you get was going back my time, but you get a Javon Curse. We had a pretty good team. He just changed the whole dynamics. You see what I'm saying? Like, and that just changed our trajectory. We were already pretty good, but he just made us a great. That one guy came in and he was a double-digit sack. His record still stands 25 years later. So that tells you how dynamic that year was for him. So that to say, we look at it to get better, but if you get that dynamic pass rusher, that double-digit guy, we've had him here, whether it be Curse, Vanden Bosch, and who else? I'm drawing blanks on guys.
Landry had a few double digits. I think, didn't Derek Morgan end up with that? But there was also Derek Morgan and Brian Rakpo that same year together. That is more formidable than anything you've seen the last 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. Yeah. So that alone can change the whole dynamic without even changing your whole roster. That could be a big upgrade, change, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that to me is the biggest issue. Outside of wide receiver one, because you need a number one wide receiver, like a legitimate one, you need still 2 to 3 edge guys, because almost every one of these edge guys are gone. You got Femi Oladejo and Jalen Harrell. That's who your edge rushers are that are under contract next year. So you need 3 edge guys. Like, you have to do that this season.
Yeah.
You cannot go through for the 4th or 5th straight season, which feels like not having a premier edge rusher. And those are hard to find. So the only way you're going to be able to find it is if you draft one high. The problem is you also need a number one wide receiver. So, like, something's got to give at some point for this team. So you hope that you get the number one overall pick so you could trade out of it and then maybe be able to fill those issues.
Yeah.
I just want to say before I forget about Cedric Gray, I kind of like that he's speaking up in the locker room, and he's a guy that's stepping up and saying it's a lack of execution. It's something we've talked about the last couple of weeks on this show, which young players are going to rise out of this mess, and it certainly seems like Cedric Gray is becoming one of those pieces that they can build around on defense.
Another young guy that you can build around that excites you.
Yeah.
That for the future or potential future of this team, coupled him with Big Jeff. I think that is exciting from that on that side of the ball. And I think too, there's something to say about some leadership. And I'm gonna go back to a guy that was traded out of here when everybody was like, "What? Why?" Kevin Byard. He was a stable leader back there in that secondary that just had a calming presence. Was he aging? He's still having a pretty productive year, but maybe so. And right time for him. Maybe his time here was done. I don't know. But you look at a guy like that was able to, a stable leader, a constant leader, able to rally the troops. And Hooker hasn't been that. He's a good football player, great football player. And that's no knock on him. It's just that's also been a difference in the past several years is leadership. Big Jeff, again, you said it, he can't do it alone. And so who's that next guy? Who's that next voice? So this young guy's trying to be it.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that, let me ask you this. Cedric Gray also said this earlier in the week that they'll come out stronger because of this, these young guys, these young players. How much credence do you think there will be? Because he kind of uses it's the us against them mentality.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Cam Ward, Elikai Manor, Chimere DK, Gunnar Helm, all guys that show up early, go into work, and always think they can win a game.
Yeah.
Now you got Cedric Gray on the other side, and you still got Big Jeff here. I mean, can that help speed up this process?
You guys asked the question off air, and hope you remind me if I bring it up. Talking about how does losing like this weigh on players, especially
Yeah.
their psyche and their abilities. And I gave you the example of my rookie year playing with Samari, and we're sitting on the plane. Is me, him, and Kenny Holmes, who came from the University of Miami, another, at that time, very winning program. And I think we had lost our fourth game, and he sat there and he gave me this profound statement. And he said, man, KD, I've lost more games now than I did my whole college career. And that shook me. I'm like, dang, homie, like you not used to losing. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
he wasn't used to losing. And Kenny, we went back and forth some comments. Kenny was in the second year. We were in our rookie year. And he was like, man, I know. And you watch on the plane, guys are, I wouldn't say just, hey, singing and happy on the plane, but they're playing cards, they're talking. It just way different than when you, as a kid, you're in tears and crying. But my point is, you almost have to like harden yourself and get to the next one, because you can't harp on what happened in week 8. You can't harp what happened in week 9, because week 10 is coming, week 11 is coming. And this go back to, even more importantly, I want to keep my job. The NFL's not for long for a reason. It's only, the average is right under 3 years, the average career, right? And there's some that obviously extend past that. So I got to perform and put a performance on there, because I want to stay in the league, regardless if it's Tennessee or New Orleans or whomever. So it weighs on you, yes, but you have to move past it. You can't let it linger, because if you do, it's going to show, and then your opportunities become less and less and less. And so you have to be able, and that's why he's probably showing this sense of frustration and saying, we got to start making plays. And because he's probably not used to this dynamic. And everybody, when I say everybody, media and outside influences, coaches, administration, is now on you, and this is all you have. It's not like you go to school. It's not like you go. This is your job. That's all you have right now. And so, yeah, does it weigh on you? Absolutely, because you want to win every chance you get there, but you don't have time to. You got to go into the next one.
Couldn't say it better myself. J.C. Latham kind of going through what Samari Roll's going through when you think about it. Alabama, winning program that he came from. He also went to IMG down in Florida. So all that kind of stuff to me.
He probably lost 5 games his whole life.
Yeah, he's probably going through that right now.
Yeah.
And he was here last year, too.
Yeah. So, he's going way through it. All right. Coming up next, we'll be doing our Eurofix look ahead as we talk about the next wagon coming to the Tennessee Titans here at Nissan Stadium. And Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers about to put a butt whooping on the Titans again. Can't wait. But we'll do that coming up next. This is the Lead Company Titans Talkback right here on 104.5 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. And hey, now we look ahead to next week's opponent in the look ahead presented by Eurofix. Let me remind you that Eurofix repairs everything European that you drive in below dealer pricing. ASE certified technicians, a local company that has serviced Middle Tennessee for over 2 decades. Visit EurofixOnline.com. Next week, the Titans come back home to Nissan Stadium to face Justin Herbert and the Chargers. And they are so good. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, we kind of gave the Titans no chance on Friday on Cover 2. Like, is like act of God. Like, everybody would have to get sick, for the Titans to beat the Colts.
Well,
it didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
So, I guess you could say that maybe, just maybe, the run game for the Chargers could be their Achilles heel. Mm-hmm. But I look at Kamani Vidal, who went for 23 carries, 117 yards, 5.1 yards per carry, and Justin Herbert, who had 7 carries himself for 62 yards on the ground, going up against the Vikings defense, which is healthy and good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, crap, we're screwed.
And they're banged up on the offensive line, too.
Yeah.
So...
But they found something in Aronde Gadsden, the tight end out of Syracuse. He's been on fire the last 2 weeks. He's racked up a touchdown each of the last 2 weeks. They're doing it with Lad. Last week, they only threw the ball to 5 different players. It was Ladd McConkey, Arondo Gadsden, Keenan Allen, Kamani Vidal, and Trey Harris.
Yeah.
Just 5 receivers is all they used. Like, that is kind of an insane stat to also have 3 touchdowns at 227 yards. Like, they put the beat down on the Vikings. And they are a team that is 5-3, but they're kind of like the Colts, where it's like, this is probably one of the better teams in the AFC, probably talking about top 4, top 5, at least in the AFC, top 10 in the NFL. And there's a coaching difference, right? Like, Jim Harbaugh is leagues better than what we got going on, anywhere on the staff. And maybe it's a Mike McCoy revenge game.
Oh, I like that angle.
So let's take that angle.
We start getting into the voodoo going on around the matchup. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So
I you know what? Harbaugh is a phenomenal coach. He has displayed that at every level.
Yeah.
He's taken a franchise to Super Bowls. He's won a national title. Like, he's been successful at both levels. And as we're talking about people that have done that, there's probably the rarest of examples. But one thing that is for certain for him is whether you believe this or not, because he's a quarterback, he's going to be efficient running the football. He's going to use a lot of tight end sets. He's going to be efficient throwing the ball out of play action and utilize his guys' skills. And he has a quarterback that just was aching to develop, because you take an Alex Smith or Colin Kaepernick and you made them Pro Bowl caliber quarterbacks, so much so that, and take you to the Super Bowl and things of that nature. He is a guy who understands the game, understands quarterbacks. It makes it hard for any defense to prepare for. And then they have a good defense.
Yeah,
some
pieces.
Well, speaking of revenge games, Tier Tart is over there, Naquan Jones is over there, and Elijah Molden is over there. And is Bud Dupree still over there as well? I don't see him on this list, but I thought he was still over there as well.
Jeez. I don't know off the top of my head.
Hassan Haskins is over there.
And they are using him because they're hurt at running back. And man, I tell you what, I really love the way this Chargers organization has kind of rebuilt this offense around Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
I mean, Ladd McConkey, I don't know who's going to cover him next week. It feels like he catches some of these balls where it's like there's nobody within 15. Like, do you just lose track of Ladd McConkey? Is he that effective working defensive backs to get open? I don't know. Herbert is slinging it all around the place right now. They've been down to, I think Joe Alt is back and healthy now, but they were down to like their 3rd string tackles on both sides of the line at one point, and they were still able to execute that offense. They're one of the few offenses in the league that still leverage a fullback.
Yeah.
Lead blocker and Scott Matlock. I mean, they can do it all. It's another offense that is really well balanced, that's really getting whatever they want right now. It's going to be a challenge to go from the Colts offense to defending this offense as well.
I'm about to give you an oxymoron. It's a retro modern offense.
Yeah, I love that.
You know, that's
what it looks like.
They use old school principles in a modern way. A lot of people have taken the tight end, make them H-backs and be blockers, but you look, there's only a couple teams that still use fullbacks, San Francisco and LA Chargers. And that is an old way of thinking in a sense, but they use them in multiple different ways and use their skill sets. And football has a way of recycling itself. And it's going to come back. You're going to get those hybrid running back, fullback, tight end type guys that can lead block but also pass catch and create some matchup problems where you're going to be in your base defense or you might be in nickel or something to that effect. You know, it just I love his offense because it's somewhat old school, but he also is player friendly in his offense too and gives you opportunities to make plays.
And Greg Roman is the offensive coordinator over there who helped a lot with the Ravens during the Lamar Jackson's, couple of his MVPs. So I'm not surprised that I love the retro modern, and because that is what kind of Greg Roman has always been. I
love him. He molds with his team. Yeah,
he molds with the team. He builds everything around it. It may not be the most high-flying, Kyle Shanahan, creative, Sean McVay, sequencing kind of deal, but he pretty much is one of those offensive coordinators. He, more often than not, is trying to go out there and impose his will on the defense. Whether that's going to be through the air, on the ground, he's going to make sure that whatever his game plan is going to work that week.
Yep. I love the description of retro modern because I watch this Chargers team and it feels like they get to modern concepts out of retro looks.
Yeah.
Like they might line up with the fullback in the backfield and then turn around and throw the ball 60 yards down the field to Aronde Gadsden or Ladd McConkey. Yeah. It's a really fun offense to watch. So good luck, Titans defense.
Yeah. I mean, especially if there's not going to be any Jeffrey Simmons this week.
Yeah. It used to be able, if a team had a fullback, the fullback was the tail a lot of times.
Yep.
You're like, what side was he on, how he's offset, things of that nature. But again, to your point, they don't necessarily do that. But I've always liked watching his offense. I had a receiver at Independence who ended up going to Michigan to play. I was like, they don't usually have 3-4 receiver sets, man. They're going 2 or 3 tight ends with a fullback, doing some things that way formationally to get matchups. And I don't know, you really want to go there? And he did. And, it was true to form because he 2 receivers, maybe 3 at some time.
You have to block.
You have to block.
You have to be able to do it to make those contested catches, difficult catches over the middle.
You're going to get your chance.
You're not getting really schemed open per se. Now, Ladd McConkey's just getting open because
it's what he does.
It's what he does.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you have to be willing to block. You have to be willing to take those, contested catches over the middles, take some hits, because that's what he wants to do. It's almost like death by 1,000 paper cuts almost. Yes. I think ideally Greg Roman would love to just bleed the clock out as much as possible every drive. I don't think he wants to score so quickly, but sometimes the play calling and Justin Herbert is just so good, sometimes it happens.
Why has his name never come up for head coaching? It did for a brief minute when he was in Baltimore.
Yeah.
But I think about some of the offenses and the players he's had and the success he's had in this league. I'm like, why is his name? Is it because he's getting older?
I think it's because the retro, right? Like you mentioned it, retro modern. Everybody views his offense as archaic.
But look what he did with Lamar Jackson. That wasn't. He brought in the zone schemes, the RPOs, and things for a phenomenal talent like Lamar Jackson. He's shown, in my opinion, the ability to be flexible.
Yeah.
And utilize stuff,
especially with this Chargers offense. I feel like this Chargers offense even looks really different than the Ravens offense, than the Michigan one.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. We talk about, to bring it back to the Titans, this coaching search. Is that not a guy that you call and give an interview to?
Nobody mentions him.
And let's say this: he's been around Harbaugh now, and Harbaugh's one, and both Harbaughs know how to rescue or resuscitate. I mean, I guess the Ravens didn't need resuscitation when Harbaugh took over, but they know how to get the most out of their players. And that's what you need as your next head coach for Tennessee Titans. That's the quickest way to fix things for 2026. And that was your look ahead presented by Eurofix. All right, that will do it for us.
How about that?
We'll be back next week.
We have
After the
to.
Chargers game. We have to. We'll be here, though. We'll be here to take you guys through. This has been the Titans Talkback, Lee Company Titans Talkback right here on 105 The Zone. All you need, visit them online at leecompany.com. For Dr. Kevin Dyson, Scholar Stoney Keeley, I'm Zach Lyons, the professor. Titans radio coverage is produced by Joseph Bonanno, studio producer Justin Hawkins, studio host Lucas Panzica, promotions director Rich Ferris, director of sales Hunter Rice, general manager Allison Warren, operations manager Paul Mason, and executive producer Rhett Bryan. We had producer Jackson behind the glass. He's the highlight manager for the Titans radio. That will do it for us. Again, this is the Lee Company Titans Talk Back right here on 104.5 The Zone.